love it because the colors are blue and orange. Those colors look familiar somewhere.
Yeah, blue and orange. That's crazy, right?
All right. Hey guys, Basil and Will from GraysonHobby, and today is probably a bazillion pollen count, and I've been sneezing like crazy. I'm gonna let Will take over.
All right, so today we have a new Spedix quad. It's called the Rex 80. This happens to be the HD version that comes with the run cam split.
Spedix HD Rex.
Yes, Rex 80 HD.
80 HD Rex.
Yeah. This is a new quad from Spedix. It's a 80 millimeter wheelbase, 40 millimeter props, kind of like the Mobula competitors, stuff like that. So this is their version of a brushless whoop. So let's take a look at it and go from there.
Now, run cam's mini split. You say that?
Said that like 3 times, yes.
All right. If you're new to this channel, GraysonHobby is a shop located outside of Atlanta, Georgia, where we sell and ship out quads and airplanes and drone parts and everything of sorts. And everything you see on our website is located here in our good old USA warehouse right outside of Atlanta. All right, Will, what you got?
All right, so basically we got this little quad here. This happens to be the HD version. There is a non-HD version that's cheaper with just a regular like a Cadix EOS camera in it. This version has the mini split in it. Right off the bat, one thing I do like about it is the plug-in motors. Instead of being soldered on, they are plug-in, which is really nice. Really nice wiring on that. They are 1103 1100 kV motors. They are using pressed-on props. They are not screwed on, so they are pressed-on props.
So is that good or bad?
It's a 1.5 millimeter shaft on it, I believe, on this one. I don't think these are 1 millimeter. I would rather have seen bolt-on if they're going to be the thicker shaft, just because some of the props don't fit on very tight.
Right.
But gem fans, as long as you stick with the gem fans, they seem to hold up pretty well, or plug on pretty good without flinging off.
The theory on push-on is because when you crash, instead of bending the shaft,
yeah,
you release the pressure and
they can spin, yeah.
Right, and it doesn't, so.
Now the VTX on this thing is a 25 or 100 milliwatt selectable. It does have smart audio ability.
Does it have a name brand? Or
it's a Spedix.
It's Spedix, okay.
Yeah, this their electronics from what I understand.
Okay. And so for those that are new, Spedix makes a really good line of ESCs.
Yeah.
They've been our go-to Spedix ESCs for a while when we did that first build.
Yeah, I mean, I really, their speed controls have been rock solid, so their electronics, whether they make them or have someone make them for them, they've been really...
They know who to source them from.
Yeah. The flight controller is an F4 flight controller. The speed control is a 4-in-1 12 amp ESC. It is 2 to 4 cell capable, but I believe the quad, they don't recommend going over 3 cell on this one, if I remember right. This particular model that we did receive was a plug-and-play model. It had a little Spectrum wire harness hanging out of it. So in order to put a FreeSky, I put a XM receiver in this thing. In order to put an XM receiver in it, I did have to desolder the factory harness and change it over because the pinout was different for the Spectrum than it was for FreeSky on this flight controller.
It's a good thing you said. Before we continue, this was sent free of charge by Spedix for us to test out and do a review. So this video, I guess, will be sponsored by Spedix. The link below to all the Spedix products will also be below.
Yeah. So it did have the mini split in it. So the stack goes VTX up top, the mini split, the flight controller, and then the ESC. So it's arranged pretty well. The only downside is because we did get the plug-and-play model, it didn't have a receiver in it, I had to take pretty much the whole quad apart to get to the flight controller to solder onto it.
Now, when I showed a picture on Instagram, everybody was commenting about the goofy-looking body. Yeah, like it looks like a bug, or first thing people mentioned was weight, and that's the first thing I have to go off.
It's very light, very thin. I don't think the canopy weighs very much, but I will say it does a great job of protecting the mini split.
Now we've seen some other new models out there from different companies that have been sent to us,
and the board's exposed, the wires are in the props.
Exposed, so it's a thing where you're going to have to consider are you going to fly through bushes and in tall grass that you want your electronics protected, or are you really interested in just a lightweight quad? So that's really going to be up to you in terms of what you like.
Yeah, now the actual frame itself, though, pretty nice. It's very durable. It's much stronger feeling than the Mobula 7.
Okay.
I think they did a good job. It almost looks like they borrowed the design from the Inductrix brushless one.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's got these triangular shapes to the rim of it with a lip to it, so it seems like it holds up a little better. The
one thing I noticed we get asked a lot is USB accessible, and it definitely is accessible right there. So XT30, that's sometimes we miss that.
Now that being said, though, you do do need a very thin USB plug. I actually had to take the shroud off one of the USBs I had to get to it because of the ESC plug was there.
Gotcha. So you hear that? It is USB accessible. USB is accessible. However, you have to probably modify it.
Yeah, you may have to, like, if it's just a generic USB, you may have to like trim the little shroud off it or something like that, or just make sure you get one that's very slim.
So you've had this a few weeks now.
Yeah.
What battery does it hold? What you said? What size milliamps?
A 300 to 400 milliamp
3S.
2-cell or 3-cell, I believe, is what they actually recommend. I would just fly it on 3-cell. I don't think I'd bother with a 2-cell on this one. I actually have not tried on 2-cell. I must admit on that, but it flew pretty good on 3-cell. The motors did get a little warm with the bigger battery. That's one thing. Going back and forth with Spedix, they were saying, hey, run the lighter batteries, which it kind of does reduce the flight time on this particular one, but it will keep the motors a little cooler. The only complaint I really had on this was there was a lot of video noise on this one. For anybody that's seen the videos on the Diatone in the past that had a lot of video noise on it, whether the motors were running or not.
Past, like years ago past.
It was about a year and a half ago, with the GTR 90s and all that. Basically, this was doing the same thing, going back and forth with Spedix. They said the engineers said that's normal. Guys, it's not normal. So I think it's just a noisy voltage regulator, because I think they're running 5 volts to the VTX instead of VBAT, because I don't think this VTX can handle more than 5 volts, which actually I have the manual so I can look. Yeah, it's only a 5 to 5.5 volt VTX. So chances are the switch mode 3 amp BEC that they're using on the flight controller, which granted it's a very beefy little BEC for this small flight controller, I think it's kind of noisy, so it's creating noise into the video system. Most likely can be fixed with a capacitor, just like they did on the Diatones to cure that video noise. I have not got a chance to try that. I want to fly it a little more before I start soldering any more onto it. But the receiver does kind of sit back underneath the body. I have this little shelf back here. I was able to mount the XM right there with double-sided tape, no problem. So it does have room for the receiver. I think if you're running a Spectrum, you might be a little tight in there. You might want to just go ahead and buy the bind and fly version if you're going to run Spectrum.
Or buy a Free Sky
radio,
radio,
wasn't gonna say that, but but the quad itself is actually pretty nice. I didn't have any problems with the props. I know early reviews on these, this might be a newer version than what other people got, but I didn't have any problems with the props exploding or anything like that, or hitting the guards in any way, shape, or form. So from what I understand, they possibly redesigned the actual frame to make it a little bit more of an air gap for the props. And I had no issues with that.
Yeah, I did mention that. I was actually talking back and forth with Spedix, and they did mention that we've read that other people are having problems. He guaranteed this particular going on forward now will not have that prop explosion.
Yeah. Now the quad did come with a secondary battery tray, like a little cage. If you unbolt the bottom, there's 4 screws. You can change it from a Velcro strap to like a slide in. So if you're using a specific size battery, which looks to be like the 3-cell,
the GMBs and something.
Yeah, like the GMBs, like 450s or 300, something like that. Somewhere in that area. The ones for the Mobula 7 HD, I think, would actually fit this. In fact, let's try that. As this is a 300 milliamp high voltage 3-cell LiPo from the Mobula 7 HD. And guess what? It looks like it's exactly the right battery for it. So the GMB makes a battery that's the same dimensions, or the Happy Model batteries will fit that perfectly. So I know what battery I'm going to fly on this next, actually.
Yep, so here it is. Fits perfect right on there. That's the Happy Model. That's the Mobula HD.
Yeah, and I think I'd actually rather use this than the Velcro strap. But the Velcro strap allows you to use various batteries instead of a specific one, which is kind of a gripe I've had on some of the other micros where you're kind of limited to a specific size battery.
So you flew it outside.
Yeah, it flew pretty good. The only complaint I really had was the video noise was constant. It had diagonal lines in the video the entire time, which is something I haven't seen in a while on some of these quads, because I felt like a lot of them have fixed that. But I really do think it's just a matter of throwing a capacitor on the 5-volt line like we did with the Diatones to fix the video noise.
Now we would show you a flying video of us flying it outside, but today is probably 25 to 30 mile an hour winds, and it would not be fair to this particular model since it's such a light model.
But I do have DVR footage from a couple days ago.
Yes.
So
and how was that weather when you flew it?
That was nice weather. Okay. Yeah, it was a nice ambient weather day, low wind and all that. It flew really good. I didn't have any complaints complaints with it. I kind of like the split over the Caddx, the layout wise. The ribbon cable, yes, it is a little more fragile from like tearing and all that, but I've had more issues with the Caddx wire harnesses than I have with the run cam splits.
So for those who are debating on this or the Mobula 7, we have a lot of support issues with the Mobula 7 harness.
The cable
going from the camera to the board.
Mainly because on the Mobula, the wire is right there where the prop is, and in a hard crash, that prop can come up and cut the harness. They did a very good job of protecting
This is definitely protected. Now, over time, it will tell. What is the weight on that guy? Do you have
yeah, that's actually one thing we'll compare there. So with the factory Velcro strap and all that,
no battery tray, no battery.
54.7 grams with a receiver, and I think they claimed it was 50 grams without receiver.
Let's see what the Mobula is.
And the Mobula,
because that's the one, that's the go-to, that's the litmus of all the tests here.
Is 47.3.
So 10 grams, 12 grams.
So it's a little heavier, and I think I did actually notice the weight when flying it, but I think this one might be a little better durability-wise, more so than agility and all that.
Gotcha.
I don't think performance-wise it might be as powerful punchy as the Mobula, but durability-wise, and the frame has a less flex to it. So I think they did a good job on that. And they actually added 2 little carbon braces on the frame, I think, to help stiffen the frame a little bit, possibly from the version 1.
Gotcha.
So I wish they would have made the stack a little easier to get to as far as less screws and taking apart, but when you're dealing with this micro stuff, I get it. Another cool thing about it is it's a stackable design with a standard hole pattern. I believe it's a 20 by 20 hole pattern. I think on this one, yeah, it's a 20 by 20 mounting pattern. So unlike a lot of the other stuff out there, you can reuse these electronics. So you're not stuck with a whoop style diagonal or triangular frame parts and all. Like the VTX is all weird shapes and all that, so you actually have standardized parts in this if you want to build something else.
Right.
And it's a 4-hole pattern 1103 versus the 3-hole pattern like the Mobula has. Okay. So you could actually probably put these electronics on like a GTR frame and probably still fly it.
That's right. Yeah. GTR being the diatone.
Yeah. Granted, you might want a little. Man, the KV might be a little high. You might be able to do like 2-cell with slightly bigger props, but the electronics can transfer it over to something else, which is the point of that.
All right. Well, I think we hit everything we wanted to hit in this video. We'll definitely have the DVR and the HD video. We'll do a side-by-side comparison and go from there.
So if you guys got any questions, post them below.
Post them below.
Maybe we'll touch them up in a later video, especially when I do the cat mod. So.
Yeah, we'll do another Q&A video on this guy maybe. We'll get see if you want the frames only, see if you hate the frame, because this is one of these love-hate.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a blue cockroach to me. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of thinking that's what it is. It's definitely, the style is a little different, but I think it's just because it's so wide and flat. But I don't think that affects anything in the flying. And it's not heavy. I mean, it's not a ton of weight or anything like that on it. But it's a nice rubberized plastic that I don't think it's going to crack. Again, comparing it to the Mobula, I think the Mobula plastic's way brittle.
Right.
For as popular as the Mobula is, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can feel my body cold against the concrete, but I can't seem to get enough. My mind is fixed on what it wants. I just let you beat me. Looks can be deceiving. Let you get the best of me in bed with my worst enemy. This is a no-go. I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone. Back up and get me home. This is a no-go. I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone. Back up and get me. So put your hand in mine. Follow me. Let me waste your time. C'est la vie. Do some stupid shit. Take a seat. Let me waste your time. So put your for your innocence, acting like you're into me. I know this is hopeless, moving in slow motion, trying to control my thoughts, but I can't stop our body talk. This is a no-go, I just can't take hold. This is a danger zone, back up and get me home. This is a no-go, I just can't summertime.